I remember Brian telling me that song Rain of Fire. Remember what it felt like when he had to take a piss when he had gonorrhea?
Yeah, stop giving me that shit for free.
Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue.
Oh, nice, nice.
I love that fucking song.
Well, it'd be nice to have you text us something like that instead of pictures of you masturbating all the time.
Those guys didn't exactly have the greatest looks on their side.
Maybe that's why you guys haven't done better, because your looks are always holding you back.
You're looking back going, shit, I really fucked this up.
My number 10 is Richard Marx.
I was going to put Richard Marx on my list, but I decided I'm not gay. So, anyway.
Fucking great tune. Oh my God, it's so goddamn awesome.
Oh, is that your way of saying you guys are better than me because I wasn't a fucking musician? Okay.
Yeah, we are, but that's not the point.
Brian, with your erectile dysfunction,
there we go.
Will wake up Mr. Happy.
That's why he has me on every week so he can get his dick up.
No shame in my game, sir. No shame at all.
The thing is, I'm asking you on how to suck a dick. Help me, tell me how to suck a dick.
It's not very difficult for you to pretend to be gay because I thought you were gay the first time I met you guys.
You hoped.
It's kind of like this channel, you know, it's not massive, but I heard we're #1 in Indonesia.
The hair metal guru from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the fucking guru. And look, we got Jay back from Iowa along with Brian from the Hairband Basement, because today we're going to tackle something that is not hair metal related. I know, feel free to stop the video if you're pissed off, but we're going to be talking about songs from the 80s that weren't hair metal that we still loved. And everybody, you have to have them. I mean, if you're like me, I grew up and yes, loved hair metal from the beginning, but I always dug some of those pop songs. I dipped my foot into thrash a little bit. So today's video, we each have 10 songs from the 80s that weren't hair metal that we loved. And with that, let's welcome back Brian from the Hairband Basement. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me on. Let me go through my shit. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at HB Basement. Always talking music there. And I'm on Stationhead, have a show where I play the deepest of tracks, the rarest
of bands,
and the little-known songs from the biggest name
artists from before, during, and after the decade of
decades. Everybody now.
So if you don't want to hear, here I go again.
Every other week.
Nice. But yeah, download the app. Check out my show on Saturdays. I'm playing hair metal and all that kind of shit, and not stuff we'll be talking about tonight.
There you go. There you go. So yes, and follow me on X at Hair Metal Guru. Jay Brannon from Iowa. Welcome back to the show, Jay.
Thanks for having me back, fellas.
All right. Yep. Got a hold of Jay today, and he was like, fucking A, I'm in if we're talking about songs that aren't related to hair metal, because he likes all sorts of goofy shit.
Yes, I do.
So with that, I don't know about you guys. I love a ton of shit that isn't hair metal related. So it was super hard to narrow this down to 10.
I think part of the problem for me was, I didn't have as much poppy shit on there. I probably could have had a different list altogether with that. Yeah. But it's the fact that in the 80s, as a kid, you would hear these songs all the time on the radio. So there's nostalgia definitely behind some of these things where it's like, and there's even songs back then I didn't like, but then I hear them now and you're like, fuck yeah, that kind of takes me back to 87, let's say, or whatever the hell.
You know, I think a lot of people say like, oh, well, I'm not, you know, I was not impacted by what was on radio. I always chose my own shit. I think it's difficult, especially when you're a kid, to not be impacted on, you know? I mean, so a lot of that shit that was on the radio, I grew up liking. Jay?
I agree. Anybody who says they're not influenced by fucking polka, if they've heard it's full of shit. I mean, it all funnels through your ear and it'll all stop.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, we each got 10 songs that aren't hair metal related, but can be rock related, that we need to go through. And let's get started. Let's start with Brian, and we're just going to go Brian, myself, and Jay, and that'll be our regular rotation. Brian, what's your number 10 song?
All right, my number 10 isn't rock, but it is the definitive song by a band that is definitive of the 80s. It's Rio by Duran Duran. And I'm just going to put this out there. Fucking John Taylor is an incredible bassist, and he makes that song as awesome as it is. And I learned playing that song. You're just like, God damn, this guy can play. And he really gave that band their sound. And yeah, that's probably the most commercial song I got on my list. But yeah, it's got to be there. It just has to be.
I mean, I fucking loved that album. Hungry. Well, the two songs, Hungry Like the Wolf
Yeah,
and Rio.
it's between those two for me. But the
Shit.
bass line in Rio is just so tasty. I had to put it on there.
Yeah. And rumor had it those guys crawled through more pussy than fucking Ron Jeremy on a good night. So yeah.
That was the thing, because I don't think those guys become big without videos. If they came out in 72, I wouldn't even know who the hell they are.
No.
But they come out in 82, the pretty boys on TV, that exploded their career.
Video killed the radio star.
That's right. That's
Video
right.
made
The
a lot
Buggles.
of bands that nobody would have heard. You're right. 10 years earlier, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean the genre that we talk about and love, hair metal, definitely benefited from, the pretty boy look. And some of those bands that weren't pretty, your Quiet Riots and your Twisted Sisters, I mean,
Little
they kind of have
Caesar.
their moment.
Maybe that's why Dokken never got like that level huge like Poison did. Think about it. Those guys didn't exactly have the greatest looks on their side.
I didn't think Rat did either.
No.
They were pretty big. They outsold Dokken.
Well, Stephen Pierce, yeah, I suppose.
You kind of have
women
that
might
look.
find him
Was
attractive.
he? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's why you guys haven't done better, because your looks are always holding you back. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. My number 10, and there were I could have picked tons of, I tried to go with some of the more obscure stuff that I loved. And I loved the hits. I loved those Duran Duran songs. Shit, I could have put Cyndi Lauper on here and all sorts of stuff. But I tried to find some obscure stuff that I felt like, hey, what could I introduce people to? I do have some big hits, but I also have some obscure stuff, and that's where I go with number 10. There's a band that came out in the mid 80s called the Jesus and Mary Chain. And their sound is probably more goth rock. The singer had really low vocals. They were kind of, moody, mid-tempo shit that I associate with goth rock. Their hair was jet black. But anyway, they put out an album in 1987 called Darklands, and on that album is a song called April Skies. And this band. They did put out, there was a lot of stuff that I never got into, but they had 6 or 7 songs that I would put up there with some of my favorites of all time. April Skies is one of them. I think they always used drum machines, but very simple, straight ahead guitar, very low voice. I'm going to give you some lyrics from it. And it starts off like this. Hey, honey, what you trying to say? As I stand here, don't you walk away. And the world comes tumbling down, hand in hand in a violent life, making love on the edge of a knife. Oh, I think that's just a great line. So anyway, Jesus and Mary Chain, really cool, kind of goth rock band. That's my number 10. Anybody heard of them?
The name
I've
sounds
heard
familiar.
of them, but I've never heard.
Sure.
I couldn't name a song that I've heard, but I've heard the name.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
The names. What do they sound like? Anything comparable?
I mean, that not really. Shit.
Like the Cure, or
what's that?
Like maybe like the Cure or something like that, or
maybe like the Cure. Sometimes I almost hear a little bit of typo negative in some of the guitars.
Mm-hmm.
That simple dun, 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 but in a more poppy way for the mid 80s. So I know that maybe I'm not helping you out. Go check that song out when you get done with this. I tried to do that. I wanted to get some stuff that I love that people hadn't heard of. So anyway, that's my number 10. Jay, what's your number 10?
Well, before everything of a hard rock and metal nature, I listened to stuff a lot lighter in taste. Everything from Beach Boys to this artist. My number 10 is Richard Marx, the song Satisfied.
Oh, I love that tune.
That fucking riff is just
Oh, it's great.
it's
Yes, that is a
addictive
good
as
tune.
shit. Richard Marx, great songwriter. I mean, you guys know he even wrote a song for Vixen. So,
Right.
I think he's a phenomenal artist. One of my tops that is not hard rock or metal related. Got a very good, deep catalog, and he is on my bucket list. I'd love to see live someday that I haven't pulled off.
My very first concert, I think it was in 87. REO Speedwagon was the headliner. A guy named Henry Lee Summer was the opener, and second on that bill, Richard Marx.
Mm.
His first
Nice.
hit was just blowing up on radio. It was like "Don't Mean Nothing Till You
Yep.
Sign on the dotted line." So
Because it was that, and then I think it was Satisfied, and it was Hold On to the Nights, and then he was off to the stratosphere.
Yeah.
that guy was massive for a few years, and then
Yeah.
in the
Oh, yeah.
90s, a lot of those artists kind of
Well, like him, you could say the same about Michael Bolton.
Yep.
I mean, he was humongous, and then kind of just trailed off.
yeah. Yep. I was gonna put Richard Marx on my list, but I decided I'm not gay. So anyway,
Fuck you.
No, fuck that. That is a good tune.
no,
I'm not a big Richard Marx fan, but that is a good goddamn
I
song.
did listen to Richard Marx back in the day. Don't anybody tell anybody. So okay. Let's move on. And you're number 9, Brian. What do you got?
My number 9, another popular one, and probably the only real Bryan Adams song I really like, Summer of '69.
Oh,
Beautiful.
It's a great tune. It's got that reminiscing about the old days, what it was like being young. But then the last part of the song changes the whole meaning of it when he says, where am I at? Now, as I'm older, I get more. Where it is, I get it more now that I'm older. But the line is, and now the times are changing. Look at everything that's come and gone. Sometimes when I play that old 6-string, and this part changes the song, think about you and wonder what went wrong. And now the song is about, I had some good times, I fucked up and I regret it now. And that was the thing in the 80s. You had with those Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen, same kind of attitude. Don Henley had Boys of Summer, same kind of thing. I don't know what it was, but a lot of pop stars in the 80s were reminiscing about being younger and then regretting of the shitty mistakes they made and where they are now. And yeah, that one line, I think it doesn't really get enough credit on what that song is really about. Because everyone thinks, oh, it's about being young and having fun. And it's like, yeah, you did, but you're looking back going, shit, I really fucked this up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was still raised the volume in that song.
Oh fuck. I didn't put it on my list. But I love that song. I love that. I thought he had a great 2-album run with Cuts Like a Knife and Reckless. Summer of '69 was on Reckless. That thing was 6 million copies, I think it's.
Yeah, he was big for a while too and just dropped off. He had
well,
then he came back in '91 with Everything I Do.
Robin Hood song, yeah.
That Robin Hood song. But after that, that was the end. Nothing.
Oh, he's had minor hits that just weren't here. I mean, they were all overseas.
Yeah. Well, Canada probably, they worship him over there. So
I mean, well, it's kind of like this channel. It's not massive, but I heard we're number 1 in Indonesia.
Nice.
Well,
there's millions of people that live there. There's like 1 billion people.
That's right.
Great.
Somebody has good taste.
Yes.
That's right. Okay.
Thanks, Indonesia.
Hey, here's to you. My number 9, and this is one of the bigger artists that'll be on my list. I was a huge fucking Tom Petty fan. Man, you buy a Tom Petty's greatest hits, and you will, I mean, if you aren't familiar, you will be shocked at how many songs you know. In 81, he put out an album called Hard Promises, and the song The Waiting was on there. One of my favorite, and it's kind of, you were just talking about how you kind of look back and you analyze things gone wrong. I get a little bit of that. He's talking about how shit, he's had relationships in the past and now he's finally got this good one, but he's fucked up a lot of things. Jangly acoustic mid-tempo rock song, and I think Petty's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Here's a section of the lyrics. Says, well, yeah, I might have chased a couple women around. All it ever got me was down. And then there were those that made me feel good, but never as good as I feel right now. Baby, you're the only one that's ever known how. And, kind of this simple message, but I love Tom Petty. That's one of my favorite Tom Petty songs, comes in at number 9.
I never get into his voice. I always felt like he tried to sound like Dylan.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
An acquired taste.
Oh, I love Tom Petty. I actually would have had one of his songs on my list, but in sticking with stuff that was released between 80 and 90, Learning to Fly was released after that. So
Sure.
otherwise it would have been.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
Yep. I could have had a ton of different Petty songs, but that's
Mm-hmm.
Jay, what's your number 9?
Oh, it's a song that I used to cover, and luckily it was better than Motley Crue's version of it. Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves that song. Not Motley Crue's version of it, mind you.
That
But,
version sucks.
but back then it was fun. People still love the song now. I mean, it's about having a good time when you were young.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of is one of those songs that take you back when you were a kid. And all the bullshit you thought you had to deal with when you're like 15. You look back and you're like, you're a little asshole. Stop it.
Uh-huh.
Mom and dad are giving you issues. Oh, boo.
And Beastie Boys are as far as you can get from hair metal. But if you liked hair metal, you loved that song.
Well, that or No Sleep
No
Till
Sleep Till
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, Kerry King from Slayer played the guitar on.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in 91 when Warrant was on the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour with Trickster and Firehouse, they encored with Fight for Your Right to Party. Go find that live version on YouTube because it kicks ass. And you're right, that's a kick-ass song, Jay. All right, let's move on to our number 8s. Brian.
My number 8, I start getting more into thrash and metal.
Sure.
From my favorite Metallica album, Kill 'Em All, it's Seek and Destroy. It's a classic. I mean, come on. Oh God. I mean, you got that album alone, Four Horsemen, Jump in the Fire, Metal Militia, Motor Breath. I mean, there's so many songs I could have picked from this album. I went with one of the biggest hits. Cliff Burton, probably easily one of the best bassists in all of metal. And it kills me that fucking Lars lowers the volume on probably the most talented guy that band has ever had. And it's like, oh, how could you bring fucking Cliff down in the mix? I don't understand what he was thinking. He's got himself raised up, Cliff down, but I mean, it's just a great song, great album. I had to put them somewhere. I mean, their first 4 albums are unbelievable, so I had to pick. That's my favorite one by them. That's my favorite Metallica album. Had to pick something from it.
I told when Brian and I were texting about doing this episode, and he was like, well, do you want it to be more pop related? I said, no, go ahead and do thrash if you want. And I said, I think I'm going to have a Metallica song on my list. And it was going to be Seek and Destroy. Well, it's not on my list. So that would have been an honorable mention. I love that guitar riff, and people might be surprised to learn. I love that album. I loved Master of Puppets. I wasn't huge on Justice, but Ride the Lightning, the first one, and Master of Puppets, I think those 3 are amazing. So
I think that Cliff Burton's unbelievable. He's unbelievable how good he was, and every album with him on it is just totally better than anything after. That's just my opinion, but yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
No surprise. I love Metallica. I love that fucking song. That riff right before the solo. Jesus Christ, that could work up a dead person.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get under your skin, you have no fucking ears. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Jesus Christ, great song.
Jay, Brian, with your erectile dysfunction,
there we go.
Will wake up Mr. Happy down below.
Yeah. Either
Okay.
that or
I
the
wonder
back.
if, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. Maybe Blue Chew might want to give you some bucks if you guys have problems with that. You know what I
No
mean?
problem here, okay?
Because that's why he has me on every week so he can get his dick up. That's why I'm here.
Usually wakes up. He still usually wakes up 5 minutes before I do. What's up? All right. That was your number 8. My number 8. Okay, this one. Charlie's here. Yeah, you're so pretty and you're very nice and you're very popular on YouTube. This was a massive hit, and it is a ballad, and I went out of my way to try not to pick ballads all the way through and through.
But your vagina got in the way, so here we are. Go ahead.
My vagina got in the way, so here I am. I love the song "Total Eclipse of the Heart" by Bonnie Tyler. Holy fuck! Oh, don't you guys even fucking you shut up, okay? It was written by
We're not saying nothing, man.
Oh, shit.
I can tell.
Oh,
Shut up.
Go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. It was written by Jim Steinman, who wrote all of Meatloaf's shit off the Bat Out of Hell album. Those lyrics are fucking phenomenal. Once upon a time, I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. Oh my God. Like, I think that's one of the best written songs fucking ever. And fuck you guys if you don't like it. Asshole. Jeez. See the shit I got to deal with?
Oh,
All right. Anyway, are you kidding? Neither one of you. You just had Richard Marx. And
All right, Jay, you're number 8.
Richard Marx is badass.
Whatever. Fucking so is Bonnie. And I love chicks that have that scratchy, like Stevie Nicks type voice.
You mean like she
Tyler
smoked
had
a pack of Reds before
Yeah.
she went to
Right.
studio?
That's right. And remember the song "Holding Out for a Hero" that was on the what was that? Dance?
Footloose. Was on Footloose.
It was on Footloose. So I like Bonnie Tyler. I'm not going to apologize. That's my number 8.
All right, thanks for the laugh. All right, Jay, go ahead.
Right. Hey, fuck you.
Well,
What's your number 8?
Let me clarify. You should have no shame in what you love. People say, well, you hear people say that, I like this, but don't tell anybody, or, try to sweep what they like under the rug. Like what you like, be proud about it. If someone doesn't like it, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too, but that's just
My number 8, though. You guys heard of a band called Shooting Star?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, song Breakout.
Okay. All right.
If you've never heard it, anybody in YouTube land, go check it out. Awesome tune. Kind of like a one-hit wonder sort of a band.
Yeah.
But came out, I think, in 81 or 82. And I dig the shit out of it. I think they were from Kansas City or something like that. I know they still play some shows in the Midwest, or at least some incarnation of them does.
If I know right, I think that band has put out a shit ton of albums.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I don't like right now I don't recognize that song. Maybe I've heard it before, but I know I've listened to them before. They're kind of just like a straight ahead rock band.
Yeah.
Definitely not hair metal, but they're a rock band, guitar, bass, drums.
Yeah, I would put them in line of 38 Special out the Southern.
Okay, yeah.
Twang, or Foreigner, or pick bands like that, straight up rock and roll.
Yep. All right. Awesome. We're on to our number 7s, and we got Brian.
My number 7 from Queen's album The Work from 84, Hammer to Fall.
Oh, fuck.
One of my favorite Queen songs. I mean, I always like their more rocking songs. I mean, they got other stuff that they do. We get the swing type of songs and all that kind of stuff, but their rocking songs are just fucking phenomenal. Yeah. I always like the line, what the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? Oh, here we stand, or here we fall. History won't care at all. Make your bed, light the light. Lady Mercy won't be home tonight. Just fucking great shit. And Brian May's solo in that song is fucking awesome. And I gotta say, John Deacon on bass needs to be talked about more. The guy was fucking unbelievable. Just an unbelievable bassist, and no one really talks about him because it's all about Freddie Mercury and
Yeah.
Brian May. But
Yeah.
the guy was a solid player. And without him, I don't think Queen is the same band. But he never gets really as much credit I think he deserves.
I love the opening riff.
Yes.
Riff that's catchy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when Queen rocked, they were fucking awesome. But when they did, when they got into that poppier, dancier, that stuff kind of left me hanging. So
Or they would do something like Crazy Little Thing Called Love. It's more a swing song.
yeah,
But they were able to do that.
sure.
You're able to go from being having a heavy rock tune to having a swing song to having a ballad type song to something like Bohemian Rhapsody. They could do it all basically and do it well.
Yeah, right. I just like Crazy Little Thing, like songs like that. I was like, okay, let's get back to Hammer to Fall. Let's get back to We Will Rock You. Shit
Yeah,
like
Fat
that.
Bottom Girls. Yeah.
One Vision, Fat Bottom. Yes, exactly. So,
It's almost funny that you mentioned this tune a couple hours ago. I was scrolling through the lovely book of Face, and I got this friend who's a singer in a band around here, and he was in a band in the 90s called Litter that are from here in Iowa, and they covered that song. He posted a video of them doing it in like 95. The song is fucking catchy. God
Yeah.
damn, it's catchy.
Yeah. How that wasn't a big hit. I don't even release it as a single. But
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's a great tune. Such a good tune.
All right, my number 7, and I had this goth rock phase. We were talking before the video, like in college, I used to paint my nails black. I always had jet black hair. Sometimes I pulled my hair back into a ponytail. Um, anyway, a band called Sisters of Mercy, and I don't know a shit ton about this band, but again, they're goth rock. Drum machines, jet black hair, deep dark voice. The Cure, shit like that, kind of influenced by that stuff. But the song Lucretia, My Reflection, and for you bass players, one of the coolest bass lines, and the bass line dominates this song. And I don't know if you'll like it, but it's probably pretty simple. It's just so dominant in the song that you can't just help but oh my gosh, I love it. So really cool. I don't know if it's kind of mid tempo. They don't venture into metal, but there is guitars. But dark synthesizers, bass oriented, and I don't know how else to describe it. But go listen to it. Lucretia, My Reflection by Sisters of Mercy, my number 7.
All right.
Check it out. And Jay, what's your number 7?
Well, that reminds what you just said before. I remember being in a band. We always used to say it doesn't have to be hard to play to sound good.
Exactly.
And sometimes the simplest stuff can still sound killer.
A song that I probably, if you know the song Twilight Zone by Golden Earring, it's got that bass. It reminds me of that. I don't know if it's difficult to play, but I fucking love that because it's so.
But it's a cool bass line, yeah. Oh yeah,
cool bass line. Yes. All right, Jay, you're number 7.
More one-hit wonder stuff for me. Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue.
Oh, nice.
I love that fucking song. It is catchy. I mean, I don't really care for the accent he has, but
out in the street,
whatever. That's a fucking great song. It gets stuck in your head, and for some reason, wasn't it in like a Grand Theft Auto game or something that had a bit of a resurgence?
Oh,
I mean, tireless song. I mean,
I want to say it was in.
Homeboy looked like he could have been in Milli Vanilli,
Yeah.
Which is another band that Jay like.
Damn Skippy.
On your list, Jay?
No shame in my game, sirs. No shame at all.
No F's to give.
You might want to start having a little bit of shame, okay? But okay.
No.
But that's one of those songs. I didn't buy the album. I never went out and looked for it. But if it was on the radio, I would know the song. I know the lyrics. Yeah.
I love that song. I'm not embarrassed to say that. Fuck yeah. Okay. That finishes our number 7. Let's go on to our number 6. Brian, what do you got?
My number 6, it's the first album with Ronnie James Dio with Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. It's the intro track, Neon Nights.
Okay.
Such
Beautiful.
a good tune. I mean, I when I was putting my list together, I was like, Black Sabbath had some stuff that was really good in the 80s. And I'm thinking, what should I put? I go, no, that fucking Dio stuff with Black Sabbath, it's just fucking amazing shit. And it was a totally new outlook for the band, a new sound. They went a different direction because they had a guy that can actually sing. That was part of the thing. And he was sober. But yeah, it's such a killer tune. Such a killer tune. That riff is awesome. Oh, love it.
Black Sabbath had such a difficult period in the 80s because when Dio joined, that first album, critics loved it, fans loved it. Everybody was like, oh my, like you would have thought that Black Sabbath had the bigger future than Ozzy Osbourne would have.
Yeah.
But then the second album came out, didn't do that well. Then they break up. And then Sabbath just going through singer after singer in the 80s,
Tony Martin was a good singer, though.
Yeah.
Headless Cross was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. And what's his face with oh God, when Ray Gillen was in?
Ian Gillan.
Sorry, no. Ray from
Ray Gillen from Badlands.
Badlands. He was on for an album too. There's some pretty good songs on that. But they couldn't find a footing. They just couldn't.
But I don't think they
do it.
I don't think they released an album with Ray Gillen on vocals. He was in the band for a tour.
Well, remember, Ron Keel was in for a brief minute too.
Yeah.
But I think Ray Gillen recorded the album, but they decided that it wasn't going to work. So he was in Sabbath, but I'm not. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
The name of the album. Oh shit! Came out like in 88 maybe. 87?
Something.
Crimes? No.
Nah, shit.
Anyway.
Yeah, you go ahead and look. Okay. We'll move on to my number 6. Was that your number 6, Brian?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The Eternal Idol, wasn't that it?
But Ray Gillen, I'm sure, wasn't on the vocals.
I think that was the one he was recorded. And they switched it up.
Yes. There you go. That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tony Martin. Yeah, Tony Martin was on it. Yeah.
Okay, now stop masturbating and start getting back into the video. Okay. And if you're gonna masturbate, do it during the outro. People are tired.
Okay, we know what you want to see. Got it.
Okay. My number 6. Another fucking rare song. If you followed the channel, you know I love punk. And this song would qualify as punk. Now, the artist's name is a guy named Jim Carroll. To most people, that probably doesn't mean anything. But if you remember a movie, I think it came out in the early 90s called The Basketball Diaries. Leonardo DiCaprio was in it. Mark Wahlberg was in it. And it was about this kid in high school who was a big basketball star, but he became a drug addict, a heroin addict. And anyway, so that's Jim Carroll. He wrote a bunch of poetry. He wrote some books. He started a band. He did all this different shit. Well, he put out this song called People Who Died in the early 80s. It's just a frantic punk song. And Jim Carroll doesn't sing. Jim Carroll mainly yells through the song, but for some it was, I think it was played in that song, in that movie, The Basketball Diaries. I think I remember hearing that. And it's like a tribute to all his friends that died when he was growing up in New York City. So here's a couple lyrics, and it goes really fast. I'm not going to do it that way. Teddy sniffing glue. He was 12 years old. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug on 26 Reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old, looked like 65 when he died. He was a friend of mine. Those are people who died. And then he goes through this list. Anyway, it is really fucking catchy, even though when I say he doesn't really sing, but it's a catchy punk rock song if you like punk rock. Jim Carroll died young. Like I said, he was a junkie growing up. He got over that at some point, I think. Did all this amazing shit. They made a movie about him. So it's kind of a cool story. That's my number 6.
What was the name of the song again?
People Who Died by Jim
Huh.
Carroll. Yes.
Interesting
Check
concept.
it out. And that, like I said, that was my goal, was to give you some shit that maybe you'd never heard before. I'm glad you guys are hitting some stuff that because I fucking love Electric Avenue. I love the shit that you guys are doing. So, Jay, what's your number 6?
Well, I hopefully you love this. I think Brian will appreciate it. Slayer. I love Slayer, and I love the song Dead Skin Mask.
There you go. Nice, nice.
That song is Jesus Christ, is slamming. I love about everything about Slayer. They have a shit ton of songs I enjoy. Great guitar work from Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman. Um, Dave Lombardo is a beast on the fucking drums. That song is just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I I never, I remember hearing like people saying that Rain and Blood is like one of the best thrash metal albums of all time. And I'm like, well, fuck, I like old Metallica. I'm like, this is probably right up my fucking alley. I go play that shit and I'm like, oh, maybe I just don't get it. So, but
Metallica is great, and obviously nobody will dispute that when the general portion of society thinks of thrash metal, they're going to think Metallica.
yeah,
Metallica is the pinnacle. But if you want to get, I mean, real fast, real heavy, Slayer, definitely Slayer.
Yeah, they have a heavier sound, definitely.
Yeah.
you want to kill your cat and beat your dog? Go listen to Slayer. Okay.
It's music to punch people in the throat by, basically. It's fucking awesome.
Okay.
Well,
all right. That was our number 6s. We're moving on to our number 5s. Brian, what do you got?
My number 5 from the massive album Escape by Journey. I always loved this one, Stone in Love.
Oh, good tune.
Yeah, I mean, Don't Stop Believing was the big, huge hit from that one. We've heard it a million times, but this is one of my favorite Journey songs. I always like those crazy nights. I do remember in my youth. I do recall those were the best times. Most of all, again, another song reminiscing about the good old times. But I like the way this song is arranged and how it changes, and that last part of the song, and just the bass on that ending is just tasty. Some tasty shit going on. Easily one of, if not my most favorite Journey songs.
Great guitar riff. I love that. Yeah. And I mean, Journey, and rightfully so, often gets kind of labeled as light rock, pop rock, but that's kind of a upbeat fucking, I don't know if it's heavy, but the heavier side of where Journey went, and that's one of my favorite songs from them as well.
Yeah, it's a rocking tune, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. My number 5, again, like all the stuff that you guys are doing, except for fucking Slayer and some of that shit, is stuff that I could have been putting on. I damn near went that route, but I decided to go a different way. So my number 5, there's a band called The Replacements from Minneapolis, and they were like around Minneapolis, they're revered. Like people in Minneapolis love fucking Prince and The Replacements. But The Replacements there was a lot of drinking and a lot of drug issues. And it was like every time people thought, oh, they're going to blow up, they're going to make it big nationally, they do something stupid and fuck it up. So they never really got the national acclaim. Anyway, they put out a song called Left of the Dial. And Left of the Dial is kind of about being in a band that doesn't fit in with what happens in the mainstream. If you want to find this obscure, different music, you can't go to the regular places on the radio dial. You got to find, where they're playing weird shit. And that's sometimes where they fit in. Great lyrics, really cool alternating pace, exploding chorus. They started off as a really hard punk band, and I didn't really get into that era of The Replacements. But by the mid '80s, they started having some ballads. They started having some punk stuff that had a lot of melody to it, and that's the stuff that I gravitated to. So, Left of the Dial by The Replacements from Minneapolis, my number 5.
All right.
So, with that, Jay, what's your number 5? What do you got?
Fight the Good Fight by Triumph.
Oh,
Nice. Well, Triumph also. I should have put some Triumph in mine.
shit, me too.
I've always dug those guys. I mean, they got superior musicianship.
Mhm.
I mean, them or a band like, Rush, Iron Maiden. Pick your, pick your icon, if you will. One thing they all have in common: superior musicianship, not a weak link. That's Triumph. Catchy tunes, technical, great song.
Yeah,
I
Triumph is a great band.
Yeah. Well, the drummer sang, his name was Gil, I can't remember his last name. And then the singer was the main singer was Rick Emmett. Who else?
Mhm.
Right. Great
Cool
guitar player.
voice. Really cool voice, really original. They did have a couple big, Magic Power was kind of a big hit. Somebody's Out There is a song I fucking love, was kind of a hit. They never made it that, they didn't even make it to the Rush level, but they were always a band that was probably going gold, probably not going platinum, but yeah,
I remember they were one of the bands that played that Us festival that
Yeah.
was legendary
right.
way
Yep.
back then.
Yep.
The footage is on YouTube. It's awesome.
Because I always like the songs Too Much Thinking, Allied Forces is a great tune. They had some really killer songs.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. Awesome. That finishes our number
5?
5.
That was our number 5.
Yeah.
Now we're on to our number 4, Brian.
My number 4, I mean, I combined 2 songs, so you can't really separate the two. The Hellion going into Electric Eye by Judas Priest, Up Screaming for Vengeance. Fucking great tune. Oh my God, it's so goddamn awesome. It starts off with the Hellion and then goes in that killer riff to start off Electric Eye. One of my favorite Priest songs. So goddamn good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I always got into I like the poppier side. You got Another Thing Coming, Living After Night, but fucking, I mean, Priest screams fucking metal, so I hear you.
Fuck yeah. And Halford's the metal god, so.
I love Priest. They are in my top 5 favorite bands of all time.
Nice.
I love a Hellion. As a matter of fact, of the songs that I've line checked my guitar rig to live before, there's 5 of them over the course of all the years I played. The Hellion is one of those 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any old school metalhead loves the fuck out of that, and really anything that Priest did.
Yeah, and I really got into that tune because I was in a Priest cover band in the mid '90s, I mean later '90s.
No
And I
shit.
was like, "Fuck, this fucking song just kicks ass."
You were in a Priest cover band?
Briefly. It wasn't like I, didn't get the leather fucking chaps and shit.
Right.
I didn't go all out that, but it was it was more like over one summer when I was in college. My one friend who plays drums is like, you know what? This summer we're gonna play out. That's what we're gonna do. So he knew some people from a band, and I knew some people. We all just kind of just threw it all together. And one of the vocalist was, he played with some other people we were with that were in a Priest cover band. So he did a lot of Priest songs because that's what they knew. So we had a bunch of other stuff, like half the songs were just Priest songs, just to get out and play.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. My number 4. Okay. Most people know Iggy Pop and his band, the Stooges, a lot of people give credit to as being the impetus or maybe the beginnings of punk rock. They were around in the very early 70s. I never, I don't listen to the Stooges, but I started listening to Iggy Pop because in the 80s, he started venturing into, not that heavy shit. He started doing some metal influence stuff and some pop rock influence stuff. So he puts out this song called Real Wild Child in the mid 80s, and it fucking bounces. Iggy's not really a singer, he's more of a yeller, but this song has a bunch of cool synthesizers. It's got cool lyrics. It's kind of a straight ahead rock song, but that's synth heavy. But Iggy's voice, it just fucking exudes coolness and attitude. It's a kick-ass song. I remember hearing it. They were doing like one of the TV stations was doing a profile on, if you remember, Brian Bosworth, the football player from the Oklahoma Sooners, and he,
Yeah.
colored his hair and did all sorts of weird shit. So they were playing this Real Wild Child, and I was like, who the fuck is this? Find out it's Iggy Pop. Amazing song. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Who did
I love
Brian
that
Bo-
song.
yeah, who did Brian Bosworth end up playing with for the NFL?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks. That's it. Yeah,
Seahawks. But
yeah.
he was only in the NFL for a few years.
Yeah, and he tried the acting, and he wasn't that
Yeah.
good.
But I did really like his move. He did that movie, shit.
Stone Cold.
Cold, the biker movie.
Yeah.
That was his first. I actually liked that movie. So, all right.
Speaking of movies, that song, I heard it in a movie. That's where I can't think of it.
Okay.
But that's where I had heard it back in the day. Great fucking tune.
And I'll throw this out there. Another song that almost made my list from Iggy Pop is called Cold Metal. Kick-ass guitar riff. So there's another one for you. Okay, Jay, what's your number 4?
Madhouse by Anthrax.
Okay. What? Badass?
Madhouse.
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 Badass. Okay.
No, I love Anthrax. Belladonna or with John Bush, it didn't matter. Thrash with a sense of humor, but I mean, they did some serious shit, and Madhouse is one of them. Great riff. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah.
I never really got into Anthrax, though I did listen to some of the John Bush stuff, and I really liked that stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff too.
Sound of White Noise was more commercially acceptable.
That was because of
what they did
Metallica.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right.
But
They sounded more like Armored Saint on that album too.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because I had Antisocial on my honorables.
Right.
Because Anthrax had a lot of good stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
I just couldn't fit them in.
Well,
Okay.
and then they really showed their humor being on Married with Children too. You guys remember that, right?
Yes.
Right.
Oh my god.
My Dinner with Anthrax.
Right.
There was an interview with it was Scott Ian, and there was supposed to be a scene where Kelly takes him upstairs, and they cut it out because they were like, "That's a little too much." Even Christina Applegate was like, "We get what Kelly's about, but that's too
right."
And he was like, "Fuck, I would have been the guy on the show to bang her," and they cut it out. Like, god damn it. But
Right.
yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes of that show.
Right.
They're gonna eat the mystery pack and then all just trip and face after they eat it.
Colors. The colors, man.
Yeah, the colors. But my favorite part is after they trash the place and Peg and Al get home and Al's staring at the guitar in the wall. He's playing like, what the fuck is this?
Who are them guys out on the stoop with Kooky or whatever? Ed Kooky Burns, wasn't that guy? That other character who's out there singing Kooky, give me a comb.
Oh,
Whatever
yeah.
at the end of the episode.
Oh shit! What the hell was it? I don't remember. Why did Peg and Al leave? I forgot what it was. Did they win
Al
some
got him
trip?
a free vacation. It was a
Yeah.
timeshare thing. They went down there, agreed to the pitch or whatever, and that's what got him out of there. But yeah, it was Ed Kooky Burns was the celebrity guy that the timeshare dude brought in.
That's right.
Kooky, lend me your comb.
Apparently, I don't know this shit as well as you guys do. Because
You never watched Married with Children?
fuck yeah, I watch Married with Children, but I don't.
Al
remember
Bundy
that
was fucking God. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
he was the shit. Oh
Shit.
my God.
In 1995, I kid you not, I got a job working as a shoe at a woman's shoe store. I shit in the mall,
You
West
just-
Acres Mall,
You just wanted to look up fat women's dresses.
That's
and
right.
and
Look at Fat
everybody fucking called me Al Bundy for the summer. I shit you not.
Cookie.
So
That's
I
awesome.
mean, go on YouTube and just put in like Al Bundy insults, and it's hilarious. Like,
oh yeah,
One of my favorites was yelling at. He says something to one of the customers, and she's like, "How dare you say that to my face?" His response is, "I'd say it behind your back, but I only got half a tank of gas."
Exactly. That shit, there's no fucking way a show like that could happen today.
No,
Oh,
no.
People lose their minds. But that,
Yeah.
yeah, whoever wrote all that shit for Ed O'Neill to say, a fucking genius.
Yeah. Oh god, this show was fucking brilliant. So
Now I
goddamn.
want to watch that shit. I wonder if it's online.
I got the whole fucking series on DVD, man.
Right.
I worship that show.
Hell
I
yeah.
remember, I don't know, a few years back, like it was like a TBS or something like that would show it like at 5 a.m.
Right.
I'd watch it as I get ready to go to work every day, and then it hasn't been on, and I haven't seen it. And it's like, yeah, I think the times are changing. No one's really going back to Out and Married with Children. This is a fucking shame. It's a great show.
All right, let's move on. And Brian, we're on your number 3.
Oh, okay.
Right? Is that correct? Did everybody do their number 4? Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Number 3.
All right, my number 3. It's from the first Megadeth album I ever bought. So Far, So Good, So What? It's a closing track, Hook and Mouth. Such a great tune. I loved it. I mean, you look at it now, the content's kind of dated, but in 1988, the PMRC and Tipper Gore wanting to put labels on albums was all over the place. And this song's all about, being able to, freedom of speech and, hey, stop censoring us and all this shit. But I always like the lines, put your hand right up my shirt, pull the strings that make me work, jaws will part and words fall out just like a fish hook and mouth. And it's so fucking great. And sorry, Jay, I like Megadeth way better than Metallica.
So do I.
Yeah, it's such a great band.
Which one do I have tattooed on my arm? Megadeth.
Nice.
Oh, shit. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Dave Mustaine, I mean, Metallica obviously went on to be huge, but I mean, Lars kind of has to feel like a fucking idiot for firing the guy. He was
Yeah. I wonder, what would have happened if he would have stayed in the band? It'd be kind of, but I mean,
I thought I had this conversation with someone. I don't know if they would have been as commercially popular if Mustaine stayed with them.
Right.
Definitely not.
They would have been way more respected. I'll say that, but they would not have put out an album like
because Megadeth didn't do anything that was commercially acceptable until Countdown, and that's the Symphony of Destruction.
Yeah,
hit a note.
Yeah,
but Euthanasia, that song or that album was very commercial sounding for him, in my opinion. I love it.
I've always been concerned with the youth in Asia, but I'm concerned more with the youth in America.
Jay's
fucking with you.
But and I think that was because of Metallica's success with the Black Album. A lot of those thrash bands started, let's go sound a little more commercial and try to ride the coattails on this.
Testament tried to do it. Megadeth did it.
Totally.
Slayer kind of tried to do it.
They all did. And the thing was, Pantera was like, fuck that, we're going heavier.
Yep.
We're just going to go heavy. Fuck it. And they were immensely popular.
Speaking of Pantera, today is the 11th of December. 3 days ago was the 20th anniversary of Dimebag Darrell being gunned down at the El Rosa Villa in Ohio.
It's still, I can't believe it's 20 years ago. Holy shit.
I'm not a big Pantera fan. I mean, they were just a little heavier than what, I like some of the songs, but I've read a bunch, I've read Rex Brown's book. I read a book that was about the murder of Dimebag. So I've always been infatuated with that band. And I said something on X the other day that I liked that even in the mid 90s when it was cool to hate fucking 80s rock, Dimebag Darrell was still like fucking Van Halen, Kiss, all that. He always flew the flag for those bands. So
yeah.
That was cool.
Pantera is one of the bands more than anybody that shaped my guitar playing. Dime is revered to me. But I mean, but you're right. He was a huge supporter of glam and hair. What he liked, he liked. If you listened to Pantera shit before Phil Anselmo was in the band, that was some damn good hair metal.
Yep.
I got
Metal Magic.
I got a couple of them.
Some of those albums, yep. I was just listening to that shit the other day. Okay, my number 3 Um, I remember hearing this song in a movie. It's one of my favorite 80s movies. It was called Some Kind of Wonderful with Eric Stoltz, Mary Stuart Masterson, and Leah Thompson. And it was the same writer director who did Ferris Bueller, shit, all those 16 Candles. Now I can't remember his name. Dude's super famous.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. It's a John Hughes movie. Fantastic movie. But there's this song called Beats So Lonely by Charlie Sexton. And Charlie Sexton actually kind of became more famous years later. He's an amazing guitar player from Texas. Like he was a youth prodigy. He actually played with Bob Dylan for a bunch of years. And you don't get the Bob Dylan gig unless you're fucking great. But anyway, in the mid 80s, when he was like 17, 18, they tried to make him into a pop star, had his hair up to here. But you can hear that he can play fucking guitar on this song, Beats So Lonely, but it's still real pop oriented rock. He's got like a baritone voice, just really cool, catchy. It's got a lot of synthesizers in because a lot of that pop shit in the 80s was gonna have that. But great song. I love the music video. Beats So Lonely from one of my favorite 80s movies. It's my number 3.
Okay.
Check it out. Check it out. And let's go on to Jay, your number 3.
One of my favorite concerts I've ever seen was Phil Collins. That's my number 3 in the air tonight.
Oh,
And I
I
love the song.
didn't even think of that one.
I tell you what, watching him, it was, I think it was, might have been his last U.S. run. It was before COVID by a year or so. He was in Omaha, and I went, and Jesus, it was phenomenal. And watching him play that song live was a fucking religious experience.
But,
I mean,
so if you saw him, did he play a lot of drums?
he
Or
didn't
was
play
up
any.
front?
He didn't play any drums on that tour. He was seated the entire show.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
He had his son playing drums.
Okay.
If you would have closed your eyes, you would have thought it was Phil.
Yeah.
Great. It was a great concert. He's got so many great songs,
Oh, yeah.
solo and with Genesis.
Mhm.
One of my favorite artists.
I mean, in the mid 80s, you didn't know of him as a drummer. He was like the fucking pop star
Right.
singer, until you dug a little deeper and you're like, holy shit, he played drums for a band and didn't even sing.
Yeah.
Genesis
Right.
until the singer, Peter Gabriel, until he left, and all of a sudden everybody's like, holy fuck. You had that voice sitting behind the drums, but the guy's a monster drummer too.
The
Hey,
thing is,
in the 80s and early 90s, that guy could do no wrong.
Oh,
yeah, I was gonna say Phil Collins was huge in the 80s. Like it just every fucking thing he did sold millions. It was unbelievable. The guy was everywhere.
there's some meme floating around, and it's like it basically says like anybody who was alive in the 80s can attest that every fourth song on the radio was a Phil Collins song.
Yeah.
Every
I,
fourth,
I
and it was
think
like
that's
fucking
pretty
Phil.
legit. There's still a couple of stations that if I'm driving and I don't have a CD in or streaming something off my phone, I got some random bullshit station on. And it's not uncommon to still hear a lot of Phil Collins on the radio.
Now, I'll be honest. I love that song, and I did like some other Phil Collins songs. But when I was a cool hair metal rocker, I probably was like, Phil Collins sucks. He's like
Yeah.
pop, and that's not rock.
Of course. Of
But
course.
not like now I kind of find myself wanting to listen to some of that shit because your taste expands and grows.
Well,
So I kind of like
right,
to hear
and
more of the deep stuff.
I think you were
those hits.
letting the dog out or something earlier. Me and Brian were talking before we started this. As a musician, you appreciate the musicianship and the songwriting far more than the genre. I was that way back when I was a teenager.
Oh, is that your way of
I-
saying that you guys are better than me because I wasn't a fucking musician? Okay.
Yeah, we are, but that's not the point.
I
But
mean, right.
because I remember I forget when the song came out in later 80s. Billy, Don't You Lose My Number was everywhere. And at the time, I was like, whatever. I Phil Collins, what. And then I want to say about 10 years ago or so, I saw a video on YouTube, him doing it live. And I don't know the guy who was on bass, big African American dude, would look like the guitar was
same guy that played for him yet when I saw him in Omaha because he has like a 10-piece band or whatever.
Yeah.
And he went through and he introed everybody. Most of them players, even the backup singers, had been with him for a lot of years.
Yeah, and listening to the live version of that song, this bass player was just killing it. I'm like, holy shit. He was doing more than what's on the recording, but it was all just so tasty. And I'm like, fuck, I go back and listen to that song again. Now it's like, yeah, I'll put it on. I'll listen to it. 85, when it came out, I was like, nah. Well, yeah, like you said, you start playing an instrument, you start listening to musicianship, and you're like, I don't care what genre this is. This is still cool.
Because I'm just better.
Yeah, let's go walk the dog or something. You know, some real people are talking here.
Yeah, told you guys I play the penis bass.
Sure do. You play the skin flute.
You mean, yeah, skin flute.
And the skin flute. I've been playing it since I was 7 years old. No. All right. Okay, let's move on. And
does that mean everybody Wang Chung tonight? Is that coming up on your list? I mean, that's what's in my mind right now.
That's one of my the themes of my life. Everybody
hobbies
tonight. Okay. We are on to our number 2s, and Brian, start us off.
I was obsessed with this band in high school. There was no way I was not going to have them on here. It's 2 Minutes to Midnight from Iron Maiden, from my favorite Iron Maiden album, Power Slave.
Yeah,
the album's great. I mean, I was all in with this. Every album they put out in the 80s was fantastic. And I what the hell did I have? I always liked the line, kill for gain, shoot to maim. We don't need a reason. The golden goose is on the loose and never out of season. The whole album was just great. Iron Maiden in the 80s, untouchable shit, fantastic band. Definitely had to have them on the list.
I've never been one that deep dived into Iron Maiden, but I love that song. Like the hits, Run to the Hills, 2 Minutes to Midnight. I loved all that shit. So yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah, it was tough to pick just one from Maiden from the 80s. That fuck, I'll go with that one.
I know that's one of your favorite fucking bands. So.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Maiden from back then.
Definitely.
I don't think I knew who they were until Fear of the Dark. But going back, Number of the Beast, fucking great. The list goes on and on and on. The Evil That Men Do comes to mind instantly.
Because Seventh Son of the Seventh Son was my first Maiden album.
I got that on vinyl about 10 feet away.
And I saw Can I Play with Madness on Headbangers Ball. I'm like, I got to get that. And then when I was a teenager, I buy an album. They had a back catalog. I went out and bought all the other ones. And it's like, even the Diano albums are fucking great. All that stuff is great. I will say to this day, the live album.
A real live one.
No, it was the one. Fuck, what was it called? Live After Death.
Live After Death.
85.
Yep.
Probably the best metal live album ever. It's just unbelievable. The whole fucking thing is the greatest hits of the first 4 or 5 albums. Good stuff, and it's just amazing. They were untouchable in the 80s. Untouchable.
All right. My number 2. Okay, now you go from Iron Maiden to Flock of Seagulls. And
did you run so far away?
It's not I Ran So Far Away. I love that song, I Ran So Far Away. I was going to say, it's actually a song called Space Age Love Song. And so people think of Flock of Seagulls, and they're like, oh, that's a one-hit wonder. But they had 2 hits, and Space Age Love Song is the other one.
Yeah.
I fucking love this song. It's got jangly guitar, soaring vocals, tons of synthesizer. And there's a kick-ass video on YouTube and Jennifer Connelly is in it. If you know Jennifer Connelly, and it's just scenes from now.
Isn't that the chick from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No, nope, it's not. She was actually the chick in the new Top Gun movie, the recent one. the hot MILF who ran the bar.
No,
Anyway,
what you're talking about.
she was in this movie in the late 80s, and it was like where this kid pretends he works at Target and they both end up staying at the store like after it closes. And but anyway, go watch that video. And but musically, this thing just fucking touches my soul. And you know, it's weird, but it almost makes you long for a relationship that you've never been in. Because he's talking about meeting this girl, and you're like, oh, you know, you can almost sense how awesome it is. And that's a song. It can put you into a place that maybe you've never been in. And I love this song. Space Age of Love song, my number 2.
That reminds me, I got something to tell you after we're done recording this. In that same vein.
Okay. All right. All right. We're on to Jay's number 2.
Curious.
Armored
Is it bigger
Saint,
than a baby's arm? No, just kidding.
Armored Saint, Rain of Fire.
Oh, nice.
I saw Armored Saint the first time I've seen him live was earlier this year. Saw him in Omaha, Nebraska, playing a club with a capacity of 250 people. It was about half full. I mean, this place wasn't used to booking that type of bands, but I mean, they were just filling up space on their way through. And if you can make a few bucks on an off night, why not, right? But Jesus Christ, Armored Saint's killer. John Bush is great. Joey Vera is a phenomenal bass player. Jeff Duncan is an underrated genius on guitar, and Gonzo's an incredible drummer. They write some killer shit. Love them.
I when I listen to Armored Saint, I'm actually surprised at how much I don't listen to it a ton, but every now and then it'll pop up on YouTube, and I'm like, fuck, this is good shit. Like, I'm surprised they didn't make it bigger. You know,
That's what I was gonna say.
the bigger bands of the 80s.
To me, they're more of a cult band in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like Armored Saint, I mean, there's really not a casual. You either like them or you have no fucking clue who they are.
Pretty much the two options. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And yeah, like you said, I'm surprised they weren't bigger. It's like I'm not going to sit there and say like selling, going multi-platinum and shit, but at least be more
gold,
of a recognizable name. That's just mind-boggling to me.
A band that regularly would go gold, maybe, something like that.
Right. I mean, if you listen to the song Rain of Fire, it smokes half the shit that was a hit at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Or listen to something like Symbol of Salvation. I mean, that song had hit written all over it.
Yeah, I never understood with those guys. They just never clicked somehow with anybody. Really, like you said, you knew them or you didn't.
I remember Brian telling me that song "Rain of Fire." Remember what it felt like when he had to take a piss when he had gonorrhea?
Yeah, stop giving me that shit for free.
Well, I tried to say no, but you were so insistent.
Well, yeah, I don't know. When you're bent over the counter, grabbing each with one of your ass cheeks in each hand, going, "Hey, things happen."
We're not gay. We just pretend to be on TV, folks.
It's not gay if you don't make eye contact.
That's right. That's right. The other night, I'm banging Brian from behind.
You wish.
Turns around and tries to kiss me, the faggot. Oh
God.
All right. Okay. We're on to our number ones. I'm dying to hear what your number ones are. So let's go, Brian.
All right. My number one, I've talked about this band before. It's Van Halen. I've talked about them with David Lee Roth and how that's kind of something you see a lot of the beginnings of hair metal from that version. I don't think we ever talked about the Sammy Hagar years. They were more popular then, a little more pop-oriented songs. But one of my favorite songs, not only by Van Halen, but definitely my favorite song with Sammy, is the title track from 5150 from their 86 album.
Okay.
That song is so fucking good. That opening riff. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of cheating throwing Van Halen in here, but that's my favorite album with Sammy and easily my favorite song with Sammy. It's just a great song. I like the way it's got that killer riff in the beginning. It builds up. The band starts going into the song. Oh, and it's just, Sammy singing on just tasty shit. through and through. And actually, that song was when Sammy got in the band, and they're like, "All right, you're gonna play with us, whatever." And he gets a call from Eddie like at 3 a.m. and goes, "Dude, check this out, and it's the opening riff to 5150. And Sammy was like, "What the hell is he calling me? This is crazy." And then they said within the next hour or so, the song was done. He had the lyrics and all this shit. But yeah, easily my favorite song from the Sammy Hagar years. That's my number one.
Yeah, I think I just listened to that album like shit a few weeks ago. So yeah, and Van Halen, I've always said you right that you probably don't put Van Halen in hair metal, but in 86 they're probably getting close. But no, I completely agree that Van Halen is okay to be on this list. So okay.
Personally, I'm a bigger fan of Hagar than I am of Roth.
Sure.
Solo and in Van Halen. Yeah, it's a split deal. I get it. I like Roth, but Hagar just suits my style a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. See, for me, I was always like the Roth era more because of not. I mean, Sammy's a better singer. I'm not going to go there with that. But the younger Van Halen, they were playing with something to prove. Their songs were more rocking and more partying. But when Sammy came on, it was a more mature sound for the band. I get what if you like the Sammy more, I understand that. I mean, I have nothing against it. Personal preference. I like the DLR years, but yeah, it was a different band where they had seen some shit. They decided, hey, it's time to grow up. Let's change our thing, our way up a little bit. And yeah, they were way more mature with Hagar than they were with.
Yeah, aside from some of
DLR.
Sammy's lyrics, absolutely. I mean,
oh yeah,
his lyrics, I would say they're more sexually charged than Ross were. I mean, look at the song "Pound Cake" for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah, that's just flat out. Yeah.
Pound cake. Okay. All right. My number one. This was a minor hit. I think this song got to like number 46 on the Billboard Top 200. It's by an alternative rock band called The Call. The song is called Let the Day Begin, and it's from the 1989 album Let the Day Begin. Now, their vocalist was their bass player, Michael Bean, and he was like the band leader, wrote all the shit, sang, did everything. And they had a few minor hits in the 80s. If you remember the movie The Lost Boys, if you remember when he goes to the pier and there's this band playing and it's like this dude's all fucking ripped and playing the saxophone, that's actually a song by The Call. But Let the Day Begin is probably my favorite song by this band. It's an upbeat rock song. I love the lyrics. It's kind of about like all the different people who make America go. I feel like it's kind of inspirational. Here, I'll just give you a part of the lyrics, and you might know the song when you hear this. It goes, "Here's to the winners of the human race. Here's to the losers in the game. Here's to the soldiers of the bitter war. Here's to the wall that bears their name. And here's to you, my little love, with blessings from above. Now let the day begin." And each verse kind of talks about different groups of people. I love this band. This album was their biggest selling album. I think it sold like 300,000 copies, but they just never made it big enough to where it was like, oh yeah, fucking everybody knows The Call. But they had a lot of cool songs, and that's my favorite.
I'll have to check those guys out.
Yeah, I think you'll like start with that song. And yeah, they had some really cool shit. So
yeah, that name sounds very familiar.
Yeah. And I would be willing to bet that when you listen to that song, you're gonna go, oh fuck, I remember.
You saying the lyrics kind of like, I kind of know where. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Jay, you're finishing us off. What's your number one?
My favorite song of all time, actually, and this artist was mentioned a little bit earlier in a way.
The Divinals. When I think about you, I touch myself.
No, but I love that fucking song. It's just it's got a
fucking Guru lives that life when he's thinking of me.
Somebody got
Heaven, Bryan Adams, fellas.
What's that?
Heaven by Bryan Adams.
Okay.
Wow.
I could listen to that song on repeat for hours and never get tired of it. I love the lyrics. I love the guitar. I love every single thing about it. I would take it over any other song that exists of any genre any day of the week.
Wow. Dude,
Wow.
and, okay, I fucking love that. And I didn't include any Brian Adams because I was like, well, it's fucking pretty rock. Anyway, I'm glad you did. I love that song. That is one of my favorite songs of all time, too. I think it's one of the best ballads ever. And that was on the Reckless album. Yeah, it was on the Reckless album with Summer of '69. Yeah, so I'm right with you. Great song.
Yeah, I mentioned about line checking the Hellion by Judas Priest. The most common thing I played was the chorus of Heaven in a different tuning, and nobody ever fucking got it. You turn Brian Adams down to D standard and play it through, a modern amp with like a metal tone, it's fucking crushing, man.
Does it? That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I'll record a video of it one of these first nights and text it to you guys. You'll see what I mean.
Hey, well, it'd be nice to have you text us something like that instead of pictures of you masturbating all the time. Anyway.
Hey, man, Brian sent those pictures to me in good faith. His face was blurred out. I just had to forward them on to you.
Okay. Hell, what is that? What I gotta do with this? Jack the Gripper over here, constantly making the jerk jokes.
Jack the Raper, did you say?
Jack the Gripper. The Gripper. You got it.
Hey, the song Heaven brings me right back to fucking junior high dances. You heard that opening keyboard line and you're immediately like, fuck, am I going to be able to go dance with, whoever it was that you
Bill
with Bill from the 9th grade when I was in 7th grade? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, love that song. Hey, that brings us to the end. Our top 10 songs from the 80s that were not hair metal. I would love it if you went down and commented what are the songs that weren't hair metal related that you loved. With that, we got to the end. I already said that we would love to hear what your songs are. Brian from the Hairband Basement, thanks for being on to talk about this shit, man.
Thank you for having me on. Let me go through my shit. Find me on X, find me on Twitter. Always talking music there. Listen to me on Stationhead. Download the app and hear hair metal tracks every Friday night.
All right, follow him on X. I almost said Jay from the Hairband Basement. Jay Brannon, the guitar player from Stone Park Ritual. Jay, thanks for being on.
Always a pleasure. I love this shit, man.
Trying to get him on X. Okay, if he wasn't using all of
I don't remember. I got a fucking account on there, but I don't remember the fucking password. It was SPR official.
Okay.
It was my band.
Okay.
It was band.
Like a band account. Sure.
Yeah. I don't remember the password for it either, but
yeah.
Someday I'll figure it out.
All right. Hey, follow my Facebook pages, Hair Metal Guru, Classic Rock Fargo, and hey, you have the opportunity to become a member. You get early access to videos. You get first response to comments. Costs a couple bucks a month, but hey, whatever you can do to support the channel, I truly do appreciate you guys being here. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care.